Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make this Aruba bucket hat. If you'd like to follow along with a PDF printable version of my pattern, I'll link my Etsy shop in the description below. Alright, let's begin. So for this pattern you're going to need 5 colors of medium 4-weight cotton yarn. I'm using the Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. You're going to need a 3.75mm crochet hook, as well as some scissors. So to begin, we're going to start with the crown of the hat, and then we're going to do the midsection of the hat, and then we're going to do the brim. And the stitch used for this pattern is a half double crochet. So for my hats, I don't follow a specific color pattern, I just kind of alternate using 5 different colors. Feel free to use whatever color pattern you like. So to begin, you're going to start with a magic circle. You're going to chain 1, then you're going to place 10 half double crochets into this magic circle. Alright, now pull your magic circle tight. And then you're going to slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. Alright, that's round 1 complete. Now for round 2, chain 1. And you're going to be working 2 half double crochets into each stitch. At the end of round 2 you should have 20 stitches total. Alright, just coming up to the end of round 2, so I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, and then chain 1, and now we're going to move on to round 3. So for round 3, you're going to do a half double crochet in the first stitch, and then 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, and then repeat that all the way around. At the end of the round, you should have 30 stitches total. Alright, just finishing off round 3. So slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, chain 1. Alright, so for the next round, round 4, we're going to be alternating between gold and brown. So we're going to be doing 1 stitch in gold and then 2 stitches in brown, and then repeating that, but we're also going to be doing an increase in every 3rd stitch. So it'll be 1 half double crochet in the first stitch, 1 half double crochet in the second stitch, and 2 half double crochets in the 3rd stitch. So here's my 1 gold stitch. I'm going to get ready to change colors. So you're going to do a partial half double crochet, so you're just going to go just up until you have 3 loops on your hook, and you're going to grab your next color, and then you're going to pull through those 3 loops with your new color. And then you're going to continue crocheting with this color. So now you're going to do 2 stitches in brown, making sure that you're following with your gold yarn through the brown stitches. So 1, 2. And then before we complete the stitch, we're going to switch back to the gold yarn. Pull through. And now see that we're on the 3rd stitch, so we're going to do an increase. So we're going to do another gold stitch into the same stitch where we put the brown stitch. Switch colors, 2 browns, a gold, back to brown. We're on that 3rd stitch again, so we're going to place an increase. So you're basically going to be repeating this stitch pattern as well as the same color pattern all the way until the end of the round. Once you get to the end of the round, you should have 1 stitch left. I'll meet you there and I'll let you know where to do from there. Alright, so I'm coming up on the end of the round. So I'm doing my 2 brown stitches. And the last stitch should be an increase. So we're going to do that incomplete half double crochet, switch back to our gold yarn, pull through with our gold yarn, and the last stitch of the round is going to be gold. So you're doing incomplete half double crochet with the gold, and then you're going to switch back to your brown yarn to complete the stitch, and then slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. So at the end of the round you should have 40 stitches total. That's what it should look like. So at this point you can cut your gold yarn, just leave a bit of a tail end since we're done with it. For round 5 you're going to be doing 1 half double crochet into the first 3 stitches, and then 2 half double crochets into the 4th stitch. So you're putting an increase in every 4th stitch. So start by chaining 1, and then we're going to hide this tail end of the gold yarn in our next stitches. It's 1, 2, 3, and then place an increase in our 4th stitch. Alright, so you're just going to repeat that all the way around. So just finishing round 5. At the end of this round you should have a total of 50 stitches. So slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, chain 1, now move on to row 6. For round 6 you're going to be placing an increase in every 5th stitch. So place 1 half double crochet into the first 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then in the 5th stitch, place 2 half double crochets, and repeat that all the way around. At the end of the round, you should have a total of 60 stitches. I'll meet you at the end. Alright, so I'm at the end of round 6, and now we're going to be switching colors. So grab your new color, and then to finish the round, slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, and pull your new color through. It's all tight, and then chain 1. Alright, so at this point you can cut your brown yarn because you're done with it. Just leave a bit of a tail end to weave into the stitch. Alright, so for round 7 you're going to be doing 1 half double crochet into the first 5 stitches, and then 2 half double crochets into the 6th stitch, and you're going to repeat that all the way around. At the end of round 7 you should have 70 stitches. Make sure you are crocheting over those tail ends. Alright, we're at the end of round 7. We're going to switch colors now. So before you slip stitch to the first stitch of the round, grab your new color. Pull through, tighten it up, and chain 1. And then at this point you can cut your white yarn, again leaving a tail end. For round 8 we're going to be placing an increase into every 7th stitch. So you're going to place 1 half double crochet into the first 6 stitches, and then 2 half double crochets into the 7th stitch. And you're going to repeat that all the way around. So at the end of round 8, you should have 80 stitches total. Alright, slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, chain 1. So for round 9, you're going to be placing an increase in every 8th stitch. So 1 half double crochet in the first 7 stitches, and then 2 half double crochets in the 8th stitch. Repeat that all the way around. So at the end of round 9, you should have 90 stitches total. Alright, so once you're finished this round, slip stitch in the first stitch of the round, and chain 1. So now we're going to be moving on to round 10, which will be the final round of the crown of the hat. Okay, for round 10, you're going to be alternating between two colors again. So you're going to do light brown in the first stitch and then dark brown in the next 2 stitches, and then that's the color pattern you're going to be repeating around. You're going to increase into every 9th stitch, so the first 8 stitches will have 1 half double crochet, and then the 9th stitch will have 2 half double crochet. So it gets kind of complicated when you're switching colors as well as increasing at the same time, but just take your time. And if you mess up, just go back, fix it. Again, making sure you're crocheting over the tail ends. So we're coming up to our first increase. We're gonna do that dark brown stitch, switch back to our light brown, and then place a light brown stitch into the same stitch as the dark brown stitch. So repeat that pattern and I'll meet you at the end of the round. You should have 1 stitch left. Alright, so just working on the last 2 dark brown stitches. And then for the last increase of the round, we're going to drop our dark brown, pick up our light brown, finish the stitch, and then place a light brown stitch into that same stitch, and then change back to dark brown, and then slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. So that's the crown of the hat complete. We're now going to move on to the midsection of the hat. So to begin round 1 of the midsection of the hat, I just cut my light brown yarn since we don't need it anymore. Chained 1, and for this round and this round only, we will be working in the back loops only. So we're going to place 1 half double crochet into each of the back loop stitches around. Alright, so we're just finishing round 1 of the midsection. Oops. So you're going to slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, chain 1. So for round 2 of the midsection, you're just going to half double crochet around. So I just finished round 2 of the midsection of the hat, and it's time to change colors. So pick up our new color, and we're going to slip stitch, pull the new color through, and pull it tight. Chain 1, and now you're going to be crocheting around with your new color, just placing 1 half double crochet into each stitch. And at this point you can cut the yarn that you're done with, again leaving a tail end, just to weave into the stitch. So we're at the end of round 3 of the midsection of the hat. We're going to pick up our new color, and slip stitch with our new color. Pull it tight. And then you can cut your brown yarn since you're done with it. So for rounds 4 and 5 of the midsection of the hat, you're just going to use the same color and crochet around. So I'll meet you at the end of round 5. So I've just finished round 5 of the midsection of the hat. We're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, chain 1. So for round 6, we're going to be doing 1 gold stitch and then 2 white stitches, and repeating that pattern all the way around. So do an incomplete half double crochet, pick up my white yarn, pull through, and then 2 white stitches, Switch colors. One yellow stitch, sorry, gold. Switch back to white. 2 white stitches. So you're going to be following that same color pattern all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of the round. I've just finished round 8 of the midsection of the hat, so I'm going to grab my new color and slip stitch into the first stitch of the round with my new color. I'm going to cut my white yarn, and then I'm going to half double crochet all the way around with my new color. Alright, just finishing up round 9 here. We're going to slip stitch with our new color and chain 1. Now we can cut that yarn from the previous round. So for round 10 and 11, you're going to use the same color and just half double crochet around. So I'll meet you at the end of round 11. Alright, we're at the end of round 11 now. So to start round 12, just slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, chain 1. And for this round, we're going to be alternating between 2 colors again. So the first stitch is going to be dark brown, and the next 2 stitches are going to be light brown. And then we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So incomplete half double crochet. I'm going to change colors. Half double crochet. Again, and then change colors. So all the way around, and then I'll meet you at the end of round 12. So we're approaching the end of round 12 here. So the last stitch is going to be a dark brown stitch. And then we're going to switch back to light brown to complete the stitch. Now slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. Alright, so that is the midsection of the hat complete. We're now going to move on to the brim. At this point, you can cut your dark brown yarn. Won't be needed anymore. To begin round 1 of the brim, you're going to chain 1. And for this round, we're going to be working in the front loops only. So we're going to be doing an increase in every 5th stitch. So the first 4 stitches will have 1 half double crochet, and then the 5th stitch will have 2 half double crochets. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. So working in the front loop only. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And place an increase in that same stitch, and I'll meet you at the end of round 1 of the brim. Just finishing round 1 of the brim, so slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, chain 1, and for round 2 of the brim, you're just going to place 1 half double crochet into each stitch around. So we just finished round 2 of the brim. We're going to grab our next color and slip stitch into the first stitch of the round with our new color, chain 1, cut our yarn from the previous round, and for the round 3 of the brim, you're going to be doing an increase in every 6th stitch. So the first 5 stitches have 1 half double crochet, and then the 6th stitch has 2 half double crochets, and you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. Alright, to finish round 3 of the brim, you're going to grab a new color and slip stitch into the first stitch of the round with your new color. And chain 1, and then you can cut your gold yarn. And for this round, you're going to be placing 1 half double crochet into each stitch around. So that's round 4 of the brim complete. For round 5, you're going to just slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, chain 1, and you're going to continue using white, and you're going to place an increase in every 7th stitch. So the first 6 stitches will have 1 half double crochet, and then the 7th stitch will have 2 half double crochet. Just finished round 5 of the brim, so for round 6, which will be our last row, just grab our new color. We're going to slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, bring that new color through, chain 1. You can cut your white yarn now. And for this last round, you're just going to be placing 1 half double crochet into each stitch. So once you get to the end of the round, just slip stitch into the last, or the first stitch of the round, and then tie off and cut your yarn. And then you can weave that loose end in. I'll be right back. Alright, I just weaved my loose end in, and we are done. You have now completed your Aruba bucket hat. I hope you guys enjoyed making this hat, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.